All right. Good morning. We're here. We're going to start streaming now. Mission Commission Star Citizen Live. This is supposed to be basically the follow-up from CitizenCon about the, what is it called? Investigation missions and what they want to do with them. So this is an hour maybe with both those guys. I don't know if they're changing the SCL format and having other people, but I don't know. I'm interested to hear more about this. What I remember, like, not being so interested at CitizenCon, and then watching it back to do my reviews and all that stuff, and going, yeah, these could be kind of fun. And yeah, let's see what more they have to add to the conversation. So, Star Citizen Live Mission Commission. Let me bring it up real quick because it didn't pop up initially. There we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. I heard somebody's phone vibrate.
Oh,
I heard
shit.
it. Welcome to the show.
Damn.
It is Friday, October, 28th, 2022.
Angry boss.
We are here broadcasting from the Only Constant. If you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour out of the end of our week and we hang out with some of our developers who are helping
Dude, the camera's still out of focus.
making one of our two tremendous games that are currently in development, Star
How is this
Citizen
a
and
thing?
Squadron 42. On the show this week, we've got members from the Mission Feature Team up first, and then we're going to a member of the EU Sandbox 2 team, is that right? Sandbox 2 team? See, he's nodding. The Sandbox 2 team in the back half. So strap on in, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about.
Okay, so they are doing two things.
Before we get started, I want to remind folks that Inside Star Citizen came back yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to check that out on YouTube, be sure you take a look at that. It's the first show from inside our new Manchester studios here in Enterprise City in the heart of downtown Manchester. We'll be showing a little bit of the new office here and there. It's still under construction. Not all the floors are open and everything. We want to wait until the whole thing is ready and really make a big impact. But we'll see what we can sneak in here and there along the way. During Inside Star Citizen, we met with John Griffiths from the EU Sandbox 2 team. And he took us on a tour of the new underground facilities, the planning stages, where we showed a wonderful software called Miro that is used to basically plot out the full scope of work for all of the designers and the artists and the tech artists and stuff that are on the various teams working on this stuff. And then we went over to our own Sylvan Howe Engine
Just for it to get
Programmer
delayed.
3. We left the 3 off of his title, and he was very much like, you took my 3 away. So Sylvan, Engine Programmer 3, apologies, from our Frankfurt studio as he took us on a tour of the current state of the Gen 12 renderer, which will basically yield all manner of performance improvements in Alpha 3.18 and beyond. So definitely want to check that out if you haven't already. But let's move on to today. So on today's show, we are starting with 2 members from the esteemed Mission Feature Team. We've got Elliot and Max. Elliot, Max, how you doing, guys?
Elliot and Max.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, good.
Welcome to the Only Constant. Now, you've been here before. You were here for the CitizenCon filming.
Yep, I'm on a much better chair now, though.
Yeah, we did have you on a weird little stool.
With no back.
No back. Well,
No back.
it's to help with your posture.
If you saw that video, my posture was not good.
Well, these chairs, while incredibly comfortable, are also not good for your posture. I think everybody who sits in these chairs for a while ends up like slowly slouching down.
Yeah.
Oop! I just moved my desk. It's not good. It's not good. So watch out for that during the show. Max, this is your first time
Yep,
here.
first time.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's like very nice
Oh, that's
spaceship.
better with the
This is your first time on the live
camera
show,
focus.
too?
Yeah, I was on an ISC a few weeks ago, talking about what we'll be talking about today. But yeah,
Okay. But you've never done the live show before, so
No, never.
Are you nervous?
a little bit.
I mean, literally anything can happen.
I've live streamed before, so it's all right.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Oh,
Then.
okay.
You want to change chairs?
No.
All right, so we're having you on because at CitizenCon, which was on October 8th, and you can watch these presentations that we're
Big
talking
timer.
about on our YouTube channel. Elliot, you were part of a presentation on about a new mission type called investigations, that moves away from the cargo and trading missions, moves away from the combat missions that
What fucking cargo and trading missions?
we have,
What?
and attempts to move the gameplay of the Persistent universe towards a, well, how would you explain it?
It's so when we're building stuff, and because of the scale of this game, we try to build things very modularly, and because we build very modularly, it means there can't be a lot of story injected into it, because injecting story into stuff is very difficult. So this is our way at looking not only at trying to build something modular, but also trying to inject heavy amounts of story in it to really bring the PU to life.
Okay. So right off the bat, I'm going to ask, why investigations? Of all the things that we could be doing to
Why?
inject story, if that was the ultimate
It is
goal,
a good question. 'Cause
Why?
It does seem like a weird choice.
Mystery? Like, why not science fantasy, or why not a science western or whatever? What about investigations drove us there?
So investigations are the tech that's there for them, like, already exists. So a lot of this we can push ourselves in MFT, and what that means is we can leave other teams alone to do their stuff without us constantly bugging them for a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because all the fundamentals are there. So it's something that MFT can sort of own
can
and
just do now.
push all the way, and without bugging anyone, doing anything. And it's also quite a fun thing to do. Having an investigation, letting people think, come up with their own answers, potentially talk about it, have different answers. I think it's just a fun game mode.
I appreciate the candor in that answer. Basically, it's if we wanted to do something else, it would require more people from outside the team and stuff like this. And you wanted to
Siege,
tackle
took
a
everybody.
task that could be relatively self-contained within MFT.
Yes.
So that led us to investigations. Were there other avenues that you guys considered before landing on investigations?
There was a few other things that, we have this sort of, I guess, list of things we'd like to do. But we kind of landed on investigations. It was one of the things I want to push is, on my Siege video, I said I don't like hand-holding, and investigations are very much non-hand-holding, so it's right up my alley.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Oh, God.
How does the division of labor work? Because you just said you want something that you can do internally without the need for a lot of external help. But is all of the mission feature team now working on this, and we're not going to get any other missions for the game? Like, describe to me the scope of work here.
So no, investigations is purely
both here.
making, as
Max
in
and
the
Elliot are
technical
both in
part of
chat.
making it, along with an engineer, one of our coders. All our other designers on MFT are working on other exciting things, like Max here is also doing something else and will continue to while I build these investigations. But, sort of the other sort of divisioning up of the work, there's potentially some work on, like, say, the props team for certain things we might need, but a lot of heavy work sort of on the narrative side, because, like I said, in the CitizenCon, investigation at its core is a story.
So
You look so excited, Max.
Let's talk scope. Let's talk scale here. Are we talking about a new profession here? Are we talking about a new way of life? We got people who want to be cargo haulers. We got people who want to be mercenaries or bounty hunters.
Were people calling you Harry Potter?
Are we intending to push this to the point where there will be Sherlock Holmeses or Columbos, like, this is what I do in the verse, or is this a happy diversion here and there? What are our intentions here?
I think like happy diversion. I don't think it's something you can do full time. It
doesn't seem like from what we've heard so far, it absolutely doesn't seem like a full-time thing. It's like, all right, this mission popped up, sure, I'll do it.
Because
Something
we don't
different.
want you to constantly repeat the same old story, because you're going to know the answers. It's not going to be fun, engaging. So because the story is the key to it, we have to make sure that we're constantly putting out sort of new content, and the system we're hoping to create will hopefully allow us to get in a groove and pump some out pretty quickly and constantly. which will hopefully satisfy that sort of PI lifestyle, but it will also be just sort of like you log on one day and then, oh, I got a couple of like investigation things I can do, but you'll never do the same one twice.
You say that, but you know, backers are always, players and backers are always going to push things where they want to push things. It's, I think once you give them a little bit of this, they're going to start taking things in their own ways. Stephen Gamer in the chat is already talking about the Pinkertons making a comeback. You know there's going to be a player org, based on the Pinkertons and what,
I have
detective
no idea what the fuck
agency
the
and stuff.
Pinkertons is.
Even beyond the missions that you create.
What is
like
that?
It's going to inspire folks to a new kind of lifestyle. So,
yeah.
You mentioned difficulty, so let's talk about that. There is always an internal debate, and this is with any game.
Detective
this isn't
agency?
just
Okay.
exclusively to Star Citizen, but there's also always this debate about how challenging or how much hand-holding should be done. I know in Siege, which came on the last patch, there was some hemming and hawing, I think, within the community about how brutal some of the hand-holding wasn't, if that makes sense. That's probably not the best way to say it. We didn't exactly spell everything out for folks,
No,
which was
yeah.
intentional.
Yes.
Talk to me about this and how we balance this. Because I know what your point of view is.
Okay.
You can tell us what your point of view is, but tell the people, speak to the people and tell them what Elliot's point of view on the difficulty is.
For investigations or for Siege?
No, for anything.
Okay.
Just general.
So when it came to Siege, I kind of wanted to sort of put you in a sandbox and give you tools and then hope that you figure out how to use the tools to achieve a goal. So we started off with, and again, this is one of the good things about having this sort of iterative development, is we can try something and then hone it in over the course, and that's what we did with Siege. Is we put
One of the tools was the ability to use the tools in a way that they never intended, which was like us skipping to different platforms and stuff, right?
About the first version, we collected a bunch of feedback from players and we saw that, okay, some people didn't like that, so the majority didn't like that. Okay, so we're going to just hone it in a bit and not just go back to our complete old ways of marking everything or doing this or doing that. Just sort of go, okay, well, we'll help here a little bit and we'll help here a bit and then see how that is. But when it comes to investigation,
You can't
I feel
help
like
at all.
we'd be doing a sort of disservice to the career path, the sort of the gameplay there, if I was to help out loads. So essentially you'll get a marker to tell you where to go, but the rest of the story from there on you'll have to figure out yourself. We'll give some sort of, maybe like a synopsis of a clue you found to help you sort of understand what you're reading if you need it, but it should be on you to sort of go, okay, I found this piece of clue, so now I think I need to go do this. Without me going, right, you found this, here's a timer, time is finished, mark the item out in the world. I'd rather you feel like an investigator.
Where to go, initial location, yeah.
Find the item. Because we have, it's...
I said this before Max and Elliot got in chat, and I've spoken to Elliot about this, and the more I think about it, the more I think it needs to happen, and the more I've noticed it's in other games that are meant to be even more simi or immersion type games, is when you and this is not something we can have now, obviously, but when you have a character creator, you choose their voice, and then how many this picture of Elliot, I'm sorry, how many more tools do you have in your tool chest if your character can narrate what's going on? Then you don't need a synopsis. The character does it like this, right? Much easier. That would be cool.
There is sort of a natural level of a cap for say ability. When you're playing combat-based missions, we don't exactly make them easier. You'll hit a point where you're like, right, I can't do this anymore. I don't have maybe the ship that I can battle against this other ship with,
but
or
still,
I
I
don't
know
have
how it would work.
Pilot skill. I can't
and
play
scale
my
to
I made the bounty system. I
a
can't
bunch
play
of
it.
random missions.
So you have that sort of natural skill level, and I think that's a good part of the game, is that you can go, well, I'm at the super rank of being a bounty hunter. I'm the best of the best. And then some other person can be, well, I've solved every single investigation, and that bounty hunter could go, I've tried one and I can't figure it out, sort of thing.
When
I'm not going to be able to
and
figure
Max, I'd be
anything
interested
out.
in hearing your opinion on this. Continuing the difficulty thing, there are people who obviously jump in and play the game for hours and hours and hours. Chris talked at Sysagon about the average, daily play time, skyrocketing in 2022 compared to 2021 and 2020. That said, there are also those people who can only jump in and play for an hour a night. It's a casual pursuit and such like this. How do you balance the difficulty of something, not just investigations, but siege and everything, for people who can't dump 5-6 hours into a play session?
Bro, holy shit. How is this even a question? This is not like Jared's fault. I'm not shitting on Jared here, but like, let's think on this for a little while. We're so ingrained in the absolute dog shit situation that Star Citizen is in that only being able to play an hour is like this thing like, oh, I couldn't finish the mission in an hour, so I lose it. In what reality do we expect Star Citizen or any decent video game to just, you lose the mission if you had to log out? Only this game right now, right? Only because the game's not complete. How, I absolutely imagine that longer term, you actually join back into your server and you play it, yeah, Max, I don't think you can answer it like this because you would be making assumptions, but as a gamer, if that's not our expectation, that's kind of crazy to me, right? Timed missions are timed missions, that's different, but the idea of, hey, there's this long mission that you need to complete. Oh, well, I didn't have time to complete it, so I went back home and I logged out, or I logged out on my ship and I'll come back and I'll complete it later.
You don't want to leave the
that's like the nature of the game right now. Is you log out, everything disappears.
But you don't want to leave.
Not be the way the game works.
Leave those people out. So
they're not being left
how do you balance
out.
this?
Holy fuck!
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a challenge, especially in our game when you can go and essentially choose to do whatever you want to do with your time. So sometimes even those players who play for a long period of time only have 2 hours on a day, right? And they want to hop in and get something done.
He does not look like Daniel Radcliffe.
And for us, when we're looking at balancing things around that, it's very hard to please everybody in every scenario. And I think Siege is a great example where perhaps the players wouldn't have seen us do this, but internally we did lots of play testing and lots of changes to markers or information provided, and sort of tried to find a happy medium between making it too obvious what you need to do and too difficult to find out what you need to do. That was definitely a time, at least for me, where I got to go through that iteration process and see what that is like. But for the rest of the outside of Siege and big events like that, we sort of need markers and that in the game. I think at the moment with the way it is currently, but I think everybody wants it to be phased out less and less, or maybe even find an alternative to things like markers. Giving players information through text and them having to decipher what that means, and then perhaps when you get closer,
Man, I never read the text.
There's loads of ideas, loads of things we could eventually switch it to. But I think for now, markers might need to stay around for the foreseeable future.
At the very least, until we get a compass.
Yeah.
Hey, UI people.
Yeah.
Compass.
What happened?
I'm going to get a letter. All right. So, following up on the difficulty thing, one of the things that's going into 3.18, we've been talking about Siege quite a bit.
I like zip
is
hoodies.
There are new missions going in on the platforms that run when Siege aren't running, kind of like not a Siege Lite, but a smaller, more digestible version of that experience that doesn't go on for a while. Talk to me about those missions.
Yeah, so those missions are made by Yorit, one of our he joined us for just as we started Siege, and he helped us on the level design. He built some of the environments, and then his first foray into building an actual, his own type of mission and stuff is to go into these siege islands and take the existing modular eliminate all at bunkers and expand them to do more in these siege islands, and make them more usable across the sort of scope. So what we've done, and again, it's something we saw in Siege a lot, is when people
I'll
play
test with you, Elliot.
Playing in,
I'll message you.
Fire teams, like
for EU,
for example,
well,
Thorsten.
not EU, but UK purchasing, I guess.
The system designer doing hull scraping. His org completed Siege in 12 minutes. So they are very organized, which I was very, I designed it to be like, an hour. And he comes in, he's like, I did it in 12 minutes. I'm like, great. But yeah, so we saw a lot of people like banding together and strategically moving through areas, and a lot of good comms and sort of military style playthrough. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to kind of enable that by, say, for example, in one of the missions is this island is sort of semi-taken over. There are 3 buildings that are currently inhabited with Ninetales, and you're tasked with sort of getting them out. And it allows you to, say, maybe split into 2 different fire teams, communicate through. I'm in like building A, I'm in building B, I'm moving through like one left, But it also allows for that sort of thing that the UGF lacks, which is multiple entry points. You could get the shuttle from Orison to these islands and go walk all the way there with your friends. You could take a ship and land on the roof and infiltrate and go down.
You guys are proud of
Siege. You could take a ship and land on the ground floor if you wanted and take an elevator up.
I felt so guilty when I didn't enjoy it.
A new FPS area to fight in, and more coordination from the players through more enemies to kill.
And
because I know how much effort you guys put into it.
Are the Gen 12 renderer improvements that we talked about on ISC yesterday, and hopefully that'll improve the FPS performance when doing these missions on Orison. I'm just hitting all the check marks today, aren't I?
Yep.
So what else is the mission feature team working on for 3.18?
Well, we have some big changes coming to Korea that someone on our team called Lars is working on. Big changes to the world as well in terms of crime as a whole.
Lars is in chat a lot of times too.
Lower-ranked crimes that you'll be receiving will be able to be paid off and won't cause you to go to prison. But those, if you do manage to get yourself into those higher crime stats, so crime stat 3 or above, you're going to be faced with a much bigger challenge now,
Oh, I have a question. If you have a crime stat 2 and you're able to pay it off, do you still show up as red to other players? Probably, right? That's what I was kind of, because he said, oh, and you won't go to prison. But I assume you would. But I don't know. When you have crime stat 1, do you show up as red? No. Okay, cool.
Less places
That's
to
really good,
clear yourself free.
It's more of like
crimes.
A warning.
Korea will become a big hotspot for
slap on the
PvP,
wrist.
hopefully in this patch, and we will see a change back to the past, I believe, where it was similar to this, and it's going to be really interesting to see the overall feedback from the community about what.
So it was nothing like what this could be. So Max is in chat. Like back in the day, it was basically like 1 or 2 people. This is probably going to be a lot more than 1 or 2 people. We had, I think, 20 to 25 person servers. I think maybe 30. I can't even remember. And then they upped it to 50. But by then, Korea was already kind of dead. And then it's gotten like somewhat of a revival lately. But most of the combat's been in ships. If the platforms and the ability to land there and go inside is not as difficult as I think it will be, it's going to be pretty crazy, I think. Like
what it's
maybe
like
insane.
funneling everybody into this dedicated area, whether it helps the PvE players as well as the PvP players, because they sort of separate
like
them
one
out.
Or 2 guys,
maybe PvP
like
players.
This was way back when like nobody played, and Luke would watch this other streamer, his name was WTFosaurus, just run around like crazy, constantly bringing the the doors to the inside, so he could hear. It was different. Like you could hear, you knew when the doors were opening and stuff, and he was just owning people. It was crazy.
More focused in one area, but you know,
And
there's
then
lots of
Luke
data
made
for us to
changes
grab
based
from
off of
when
that.
the patch
It was cool
first
back then.
drops, and all these changes come in.
But this will be way better than it was back
I
then.
don't know as
Way
much
better.
about the specifics of the mission as Elliot does, so maybe you can give some insight on that.
So it's going to be a sort of player. I just caught it on my eye. Laz is actually in the chat. I just saw a message. He's called Poet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Laz. So
I just doxed Lars.
No, Laz actually is
everybody
okay
knows
with being
Lars
known
is.
as a dev because he is in Mike's chat
There he is.
and other people's chat. So
Hey.
sorry, Laz, if you didn't want to, but there you go. So yeah, it's hopefully.
Jared said, you can't mention Mike on official CIG streams, okay? It's not allowed. I don't know if you knew that, Elliot, but yeah, you can't do that. That's what this face is for. This is Jared getting a demerit
Yeah, sort of a player-run systemic thing. So
from
you
everybody.
as the player can go and
at
actually
CIG.
cause this event to yourself. You can control when it runs. You can control. Well, I say
Elliot
you can
just
control
shouting
how it
everyone
runs
out.
for.
Thank you,
can
dude.
control as long as you can survive how long it runs for. But alongside this, it came with.
Did
sort of,
Lars
I guess,
contribute to Harry Potter
a
Gate?
needed rebalance overhaul to our law system and how we do crimes and how much we award for crimes, how long it takes to sort of get rid of crimes, where you can land with crimes. You can now land everywhere with a CS1 or 2, which you couldn't originally do.
Love
the
it.
fine kiosks that we have around the verse, you can surrender at, and it will give you that 20% discount off of your time.
So there was, like, how much time it takes to remove a crime stat was something that was mentioned. But he didn't say if it's faster or slower.
Which means you don't have to go do like death by cop in a ship.
It's going to need to be faster.
I think the crime stat 1 and 2 changes are probably two of the
Given Korea's
single
like
biggest quality of
the
life
only
changes
place
that
now.
we've put in. It's a simple thing, but the amount of times you get you bump somebody or you get bumped or whatever, and you end up with a crime stat 1 or 2, and now half your landing zones are gone, and so like this, it's a pain in the butt. So that change alone, I think, is going to make a lot of improvements.
Yeah.
What else is
I think
coming?
it'll be really good.
So we've got the new Korea stuff. We've got
What else?
the new
There's
missions that are
so
going
much
on to
mentioned
Siege
already from these
platforms when
guys.
Siege isn't running. We'll talk about the prison stuff in a minute. Anything else coming in 3.18?
Besides prison?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's a couple of other bits and bobs I think we're working on, but I guess they're sort of tentative. We want to make sure that they are ready before we put them out. I'm not even sure if I'm good to talk about them.
What is it?
Oh God!
Just tell me right now.
We're working on another mission for the sort of siege islands that will involve actually an entire island sort of being taken over, and the players having to do multiple things on that island to finish the mission.
Okay. So no guarantee that it's coming for 3.18. Just it's one of the things that's happened is unless you may not be aware, 3.18 was originally scheduled to come out.
Did you guys all
towards the
find
end
my
of
channel because
September, the
Elliot
beginning of
mentioned
October.
it? Oh,
It has
wow,
now been
thanks.
pushed out.
Yeah.
Currently scheduled for December 8th, I think. And along with that time, that's the devs haven't stopped working. They're not just the stuff that was in 3.18 is now still the stuff that they're looking to add as much stuff. That's part of our staggered continuous development. It's basically we're still working on this stuff. So if this comes available,
I've actually mentioned this a couple times. Like the longer that 3.18 takes, the better it could sound. Like the more stuff that could go into it. It doesn't mean that they would just continue holding stuff back and that'd be it. I don't think.
Comes ready in time, then it will be included when 3.18 branches.
I'd say one thing that did get put in that I'd like to mention, it was a personal pet peeve of mine, but in the next release, now when you go, so whenever I play and I go to a sort of Platinum Bay, and I land at a Platinum Bay, and I'm presented with a list, and I'm on my dev account, so I've got like all the ships, and I can see every single ship, and I don't know which ones I can spawn. We've now made it so that when you're at the Platinum Bay, you'll only see ships that you can actually spawn at that location that actually fit the size.
Whoa!
That was one of my sort of pet peeves that I asked to put a task in for, and we got round to it. So that's something I'm proud of.
Hey!
It's huge.
I see someone putting finally, so I've helped someone out, not just me.
Yes, and
Oh, they're all
I'm
reading
being
the
told
chat.
that I
So
actually
funny.
have no idea what the date is, so I don't know where I got that date from. But don't take, like I said, we don't talk dates. I shouldn't have even tried. So
Meanwhile, 318 in December, right?
don't take don't
We
take
still
that
we
one
don't
too
we don't talk
seriously.
dates though.
Yeah.
318
I'm
November,
being yelled at in the
December, June,
I don't know the
July,
date.
August.
All right, so let's jump back to investigations a little bit. A lot of it's going to have to, the communication, the clues, the interactions
Yeah,
with
what
things.
year
It
December?
seems like it's going to be very heavily affected by mobiGlass.
Yeah.
At CitizenCon, we saw a whole new mobiGlass on the horizon. You don't get to wait until the new mobiGlass is here before you start designing investigations right now.
But that sounds like
Does
it's
this
a good
mean
thing.
that everything that you're going to build right now or building along the way is going to have to be redone when the new mobiGlass comes?
It sounds like you get to
No,
influence
so,
the new mobiGlass.
We have to design for both. Currently, we have a design for how to sort of awkwardly use our current mobiGlass to ensure that we can give all the information to the players that they do need to see.
Okay.
However, we also are, involved in the new mobiGlass and the new contracts manager we're doing. And with that, we can sort of mold it for our needs as well, because obviously the mission team, the contract manager is pretty much used for us. So we can sort of mold it and see how it fits and make sure that we have all the information and styles that we need. So we have
Look at Max being
considerations
a
for
streamer.
both.
Just reading the chat.
And then I saw during this always happens, no matter how many times we put work in progress and everything on there. During the presentation, there were a number of comments on Spectrum and in the YouTube comments about. It was like
Jared's
only
gonna turn that
15,000
TV
credits.
off
Only
with the chat on
15,000
it.
credits for doing this mission. Like that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on, let's go to my camera. I'm going to. He goes. The first thing we work out is not the mission reward. The mission reward is literally one of the last things that gets worked out. So whenever you're watching ISC or SCL or CitizenCon or anything and you see it's only paying out this or it sends you to this number, if you're looking at any numbers in any numbers whatsoever in the new underground facility segment that we aired yesterday, when you're talking about the number of designers and the stuff, if it's numbers, it's all work in progress. It's just thrown in there as we're working out the demonstration of stuff.
Yep, none of the
Please
numbers
do not
matter.
ever take those numbers seriously. They're about as reliable as December 8th.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't even know what day of the week December 8th is. Like, where did the heck? I don't know.
What I can add to that is when we're like, it's probably on me because I'm lazy. We have how we boot missions is via a record, and that has, I think, something like 140 fields. And there's a bunch that have to be filled in for it to be able to work. So when I'm doing what's known as a dirty prototype, which is me just mocking it up in the most, horrible way before, like as a proof of concept before we move on to the actual one, I duplicate an already existing mission record. So it takes all of their values across. So I think I duplicated like an easy eliminate all mission, which was 15,000. And I saw on the YouTube comments, people like, I'm not doing this for 15,000. I'm not going to spend hours trying to figure this out and never do it. I'm like, it's not 15,000. I haven't touched any of that stuff.
Chat is telling me that December 8th is a Thursday. So yeah, at this point we've been specking out that week's ISC, so that's why that's in my head. Let's see what else we got. Have you guys talked to this investigation stuff? Have you guys talked to character
I
art
can't
at
believe
all
how
about
in advance they
getting
do
some
the
detective
ISCs.
style clothing done, like a 30th century version of Sherlock's
We have a
whatever that
monocle
was.
already, right? We have a monocle in game.
Is a monocle inherently
Max, that monocle costs $1,000.
a detective thing?
All
I
you
thought it
need
was
is
just
a
fancy.
magnifying glass, right?
Smoke pipe.
Half,
with a
yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
A nice Columbo-esque duster? No? Yeah, no talks with community.
Well, you could do the thing you did to UI and look in the camera and ask them for it if you want.
Okay,
Go to Jared.
Hey, character art. Hey, Damien from Turbulent. Let's get some detective
That's where it
style
came
clothes
from?
in to support
Oh my God.
investigation. And I'm just burning every bridge I got right now. All right. So
We turned it into an emote.
So before we let you go, we got you on the show recently. When I say recently, I think it was just last week, or was it this week? This week. You had your go no go for a new a way to remove crime stat. A special mission that we've hinted at in ISC.
Oh, okay.
A new way to escape prison and wipe your crime stat without having to go to Korea. How'd that go no go?
Well,
So this was all
it went
Max's
great.
stuff.
Finally, it took a few tries, but we got it through. Yeah. So the idea
What's
was
that
we
smirk for?
felt like the prisons had gone through quite a long period of not very many changes. And it was definitely an area of gameplay that most players will encounter at least at some point. So
Some more than others.
yeah, some more than others for sure. So
Yeah.
we wanted to add some content to it to spice it up again, and given the changes coming to the rest of the game, it really made sense for us to add some more to the prison. So we've made a number of changes, including putting in a new mission that does exactly what you say. It allows you to
Remove your crime stat.
remove your crime stat, yes, by the help of a not so friendly friend that you'll
I
make
saw a
along the
leak
way.
of it on
So
Twitter.
at this
I'm
point,
fucking
let's go back
pissed.
to my camera here. So
I
at this
banned the
point,
guy.
we
Or
are going
banned the guy.
to
I muted him.
do something we've never done. We are actually going to show you the go no go that was recorded and presented
Oh.
to CR and the directors. This will be a cut down version of the go no go.
I guess
the
this is
original
where it
one
was from.
was about 30 minutes long. It was mostly
thought it was an
like
Evo leak.
it had like 20 minutes of Max just getting lost in the caverns underneath Gleischer. So we've cut out his just wandering around, aimlessly in the caverns. Like I can't remember how to get where I'm going. So we cut that out. So we got about 10 minutes now. This is going to show you what this new method is. So if you don't want to see that, if you want to preserve yourself, this is where the spoiler warnings are. Go find something else to do. Stop the YouTube video if you're watching later. Go check out one of the other Star Citizen streamers on Twitch if you want. But yeah.
That was a perfect timing with the TV.
Yeah, we're gonna play the Go No Go video, and we're gonna do a version of your commentary live here because the dialogue wasn't recorded during the meeting. So we've got the visuals. We're gonna add new audio, and yeah, with that, that's enough warning. Let's play the clip. All right, so we're starting off in Gleischer.
Yeah, so we're when I recorded this, I tried to do it from the perspective of a player who would have just arrived in prison. And generally, I think when players go to prison, they either try to enter the escape route straight away and get out there
You're
as fast as
trespassing.
possible, or they head into the mines to dig up rocks and serve their sentence.
Oh, look at this speed run.
Like a good citizen. And here I just allude to that as you kind of would go deeper into the prison. For those who don't know already or don't do the mining very often, the deeper you go into these prison caves, the more likely you are to find rarer ore. And rarer ore, when you return it, will give you back some...
That's an NPC.
some big ore. It is, yes. So
That's a
this is one
weird
of the
thing
other
to say.
features that we've added to prison. Unrelated to the mission, this is just to help spice up and spruce up the place a bit more. So we've added emergent AI that will spawn in the caves and sort of wander around. It really adds some life to it. These AI can also be killed, and they will drop prison loot. So any loot that would be available to a player in the prison can potentially be on.
If you kill them, is it considered like a monitored zone where your sentence gets longer?
Any of
Here,
these
I
AI.
wonder.
However, if you do so in the prison, you'll know that you'll get a murder charge still. So you will
okay,
increase
there's
your
the answer.
sentence by doing it. However, that leads into our next spot. As you can see, the mission was just offered to the player. Now, this was triggered because the player got so deep into the mines that he entered a new section of the prison mines that we're calling the prison black spot. So this means that this area of the prison is so deep underground that the Klesher can no longer block
700
communications
meters
to
from the
prisoners.
fan.
And Ruto has found a way to elude through that.
Pretty
so
far.
he has found a way to contact players within prison and offers them a mission. Now, this mission is to retrieve a data chip that one of his other little minions failed to smuggle out of the escape route for him. So he's asked you to find his fallen fellow and retrieve the data chip and upload the data.
I would like to quickly just say, I've just seen a lot of people call out trespassing. That was a bug.
Yeah,
we fixed it. It wasn't meant to be there.
Yeah, that's there because in order to do the test, you just warped yourself to the prison.
You
You didn't actually have the crime scene. Right?
We technically I'm not allowed here.
All right. So we're back up. So
okay.
we've been skipping ahead a bit. Every time we fade to black, we skip ahead like 3 minutes. So we're now up. You're back at the fan. Folks will recognize the stopping the fan here.
New UI for the fan keypad though. That's got to be exciting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
And yeah,
It probably
so
works
in terms
better.
of the escape route itself, we haven't. It would be a very big task to change the whole thing. But in order to add a
never
little
go
extra
that
to
way.
it,
I'm a
we've
pussy.
the body that the data chip is on is kind of floating on these platforms within the main cylinder of the escape route. And it will be different each time where the body spawns. But as you can see here,
Really?
this is quite high up in the escape route. Anyone familiar with this will know
And
that
this
this
is,
is right near the end of the escape route. But the body is sort of in the middle, so I locate one jump to
Not
make
a
it across.
typical
Obviously,
route.
on Aberdeen, the planet that the prison's located on, this has low gravity, so you need to complete a series of jumps to get to the body and to retrieve the data chip. And then once you've got to this point, it's very difficult to re-enter the route a safe
Oh,
point. So
shit.
you might
That's a new UI element. This just opens it. And then look, move all. Oh my God.
have to go to a
Max, Elliot, I don't think anybody cares what you have to say now. Look at this
point
stuff.
that you didn't previously go to, and sort of find your way back to
That's
the
a big
escape
deal.
route and get away. It's
Depending
also
on where
worth
the body spawned.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that the moment you escape prison, you're automatically put onto a timer. Because of Aberdeen's natural temperature on the planet, the player's body temperature will increase rapidly, and so to sort of
That doesn't mean the move all button works.
this mission or to get to the rover, you are already on a timer. This will add some time to that timer. It's significantly more difficult if you damage yourself along the escape route at any other point, which is quite common. So in the process of escaping prison, you will need to get past the trip mines, which was the first thing I ever added as a designer to the game.
I remember
cool.
there was a conversation just a bit before that where Max said like, oh, people are going to crawl on the floor and go around it. And there was a big discussion in MFT, people going, no, they won't, no, they won't. And the first video we saw someone did it, they did exactly that. There was like, my head's too big, I'm going to crouch.
Yeah.
All right, so we've skipped ahead. We're now outside. We've now, after falling about 6 or 7 times, most likely.
Yes.
We've come to the little storage crate that's got the Ursa. We've got the code for the Ursa.
Yeah, so you grab them from the guard room and then you escape prison.
Upload
Just like
Klesher
it was
data
before.
chip at Klesher Rehabilitation.
We made
we're
a slight
leaving.
change here in the
Where are we
this rover
going?
that spawns now will now spawn with some guns inside of it.
Nice.
The purpose of this will be shown just shortly because towards the end of this mission you're going to be required to enter some combat. So,
All right, so at this point, we've recovered the chip from Rudo's last lackey.
yes.
And now we've got to take the chip to this
where?
waypoint. What's at the waypoint?
So it's a satellite. So Ruto wants this data directly uploaded to him, not physically handed to him. So they have Ruto and his gang have conveniently stashed a satellite inside a derelict that is that you'll see just shortly here. So after the player has a short rover ride over Aberdeen's lower orbit, low gravity planet, which is also very fun, by the way, trying to drive that thing over the surface. They will arrive at a derelict, and this derelict has got
A cutlass.
security. from Hurston Security who have gone there to investigate what's going on, and which is why there is a cutlass parked there. And the player will have to fight off the security that are here, and so that he can upload to the satellite.
Now, obviously, you're doing this solo, but many folks enlist the help of friends when escaping prison.
They can. There's some caveats to it. This is meant to be done solo. That's
Okay.
the idea. They could call in a friend to come and help them at this point, but the problem potentially with doing that is you will get a crime for killing these security guards. So whoever is on the mission, it cannot be shared, the mission. One person will get to wipe their crime stat. So if they were going to enlist help from a friend, they might want to make sure that it was the person with the mission killing them off, because you're going to get 4 murder charges.
I doubt this is true. How many of these missions are available at any one time? So if 2 people go into the black spot, do they both get the mission?
From doing this, but
Sometimes there's like a limit to how many missions are available. Like if you're doing
So
one,
The person
then
who
you're
took
not.
the mission. So again, so if your friends come, if you enlist your friends, your crime stat will be cleared.
Yes.
But your friends,
Yeah, you gotta
will still
murder the
have
other one.
The new murder charges.
They'll have a long sentence.
They can
by the time
essentially transport you. They can bring you here, but if they kill anyone, they're going to end up back there in Klesher.
And the whole idea of doing this is to avoid having to go to Klesher.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's your incentive to doing this solo. So it
There's
looks
a
like they
limit. Yeah,
they
yeah,
switched
I
guns
would've
'cause
figured.
The first one ran out of.
Yeah, there's only one clip in either gun, as obviously Horizon. Hurston didn't just leave an ammo carted full of bullets rover right next to the prison. But as you can see here, I take out the AI and I'm
God, this third-person inventory.
putting
It's
the
so
data chip back into
fucking
my
ridiculous.
hand
I can't get
to
past it.
upload into the satellite. And this is mission complete. So the data chip will be eaten by the satellite. Ruto will get his much needed data about the insides of Klesher, and the player will walk away crime free. There's also that cutlass now can be commandeered by the player, so they also have a way to.
Oh, true, they got a way to
escape the
fly
planet
out.
immediately upon mission complete.
Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that they were called magazines, not clips.
Oh, yeah,
tomato,
people would
tomato.
freak out. People freak out when
I
you
Nobody
will-
say
reads
that.
magazines anymore anyway.
I'd also like to say that one of the closest settlements to Klesher is, what is it? What's it
Barton
called?
Flats.
Barton Flats, and we've added an ASOP terminal there. So if you are alone, it's not exactly a short hike, but there's a hike you can do, and you can get your ship if you do escape.
Are you stealing the security's cutlass now?
Yes.
We are, yes.
You just cleared your crime stat.
Well, let's hope they don't find us.
Yeah.
But I guess there's nobody alive to report the crime, is there?
Exactly.
All
No,
right.
not unless you get found.
No.
Is a crime really a crime if nobody's there to
True.
report you?
Well, you could fly this ship to. the
Can you
new
land
planet.
this ship at a
Exactly,
landing
and get
zone?
your
I don't
own
think you
box out.
can.
Gotcha.
It's not
So
yours.
the mission not only gives you a way to clear your crime stat, but now it gives you a way to escape
Yep.
the planet
Yes.
without needing to
Yeah.
call for friends.
One of the like issues we noticed with the first sort of escape route we had was that a solo player, it really isn't good for them, because they'll
What
get
a
out
chat,
and
he
they
fires
can put
off
up a service
fireworks.
beacon waiting for someone to pick them up, or they're just stuck.
Is that a
So
landing
this kind of help
MFT? I don't know. Let's see. Where?
if you do escape, pick them up, or there's a solo.
Gotcha. So the mission not only gives you a way to clear your crime stat, but
Oh,
and get your own
no,
box out.
it's
Gotcha.
the UI
so the
breaking.
mission not only gives you a way to clear your crime stat, but now it
No.
gives you a way to escape
It's
Yep.
just
the
the
planet
USI breaking.
without needing to
Yeah.
call for friends.
One of the like issues we noticed with the first sort of escape route we had was that a solo player, it really
Come
isn't
on,
good for them,
actual
because they'll get
development?
out and they could put up a service beacon waiting for someone to pick them up, or they're just stuck. So
Who just
this kind
farted,
of
by the
helps
way?
that solo player lifestyle get off, and plus with the addition of the Platinum Bay, even if you've not taken the mission, you should be able to go and get your stuff.
I heard
Cool.
Max fart.
Well, I think that's about it. Sorry, I was.
Oh, it was Jared.
Chair is being weird. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us and for talking about the investigation stuff that we saw at CitizenCon, talking a bit about what your team is bringing to Alpha 318, and of course sharing with us our first look at an actual
the
live
chair.
internal go no go. I can't believe you made CR sit through all 30 minutes of you wandering the tunnels, huh?
Yeah, it's tough.
The more embarrassing thing is he was a QA tester. He tested this stuff for years.
I'm going to get you a license of Premiere, and I'm going to show you how to save the man some time.
Yeah, I'll need the help. I appreciate it.
Elliot, Max, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Guys, we're going to take a short break. We're going to throw it to a few more community commercials, and when we come back, we'll be joined by John Griffiths from EU Sandbox 2, and we're going to talk a little bit more about him and what he does. So stay tuned.
Nice.
We'll be right back.
That was cool. What's wild is how much is happening. Like, that is a lot of stuff that one team did. I might, when we watch these, skip all these commercials. Thoughts on that? I'm sure some of them are very cool, but I think we're a little bit more interested in
without compromise.
And that was another fine selection
going on?
of community-created commercials, adverts, whatever you want to call them, created by you, the Star Citizen community, and uploaded to our own Community Hub. Now, if you're not familiar with it, the Community Hub is a fantastic area on the robertsspaceindustries.com website.
Well, that was
where
awesome.
You can
Thank you,
submit
Max and Elliot.
content, you can find content, you can vote up which content you like most and stuff like this. We are hoping that by including these in the show, we will inspire the creation of more. We want to see ads for your own organizations. We want to see commercials or videos about the fictional brands that already exist within the universe. Narrative, short form narrative stories.
That's why I'm not in the
about your
Community Hub.
adventures
I am,
within
though.
the universe. Basically, as long as it's got not any royalty trademark music in it, and try to keep the swears down if you can. I'm told repeatedly, got to keep the swears down. And it's roughly about 45 seconds to maybe 2 to 3 minutes. We'd love to showcase it here on Star Citizen Live each and every week. So hopefully you'll get cracking. You'll submit them to the Community Hub, and be sure you vote on which ones you want to see included and showcased on the show more. And maybe there might be some incentives added to this at some point, whatnot.
Ship giveaways.
We'll see how it works.
Obviously.
So,
They give away ships for
Curie Doc says, I heard Kraken. No, you didn't.
everything.
I said, get Kraken. You guys, you're killing me. You're killing me. All right. Joining us on the show now is a member of the CIG development staff on EU Sandbox 2 that you met for the first time yesterday on Inside Star Citizen. None other than
more on the
lead
bunkers.
environment artist. Is there a number after that?
No,
just lead
maybe
environment.
just a one.
Just lead environment artist, Mr. John Griffiths. John, how you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the show. Now, a little bit of the reality folks might not understand. We actually had a whole different set of guests booked on the show, and they fell ill collectively at the same time. So we found that out this morning, and John was gracious enough to, with no...
This is why Jared moving to... This is the single reason why Jared moving to the UK is so much better than it had ever been before. Think about what devs are in the LA studio. It would the only person you could talk to is Jeremiah Lee. That's it. Anything happens, Jeremiah Lee. Done. That's it. That's all you got. Marketing, lawyers. It's the most boring. It may be more boring than the... it definitely is more boring than the Austin studio. They don't have anybody that, like... It's all the back end stuff. It's like character art and things like that, you know? Because video calls don't exist. Well, they do, but it's a little bit different. He could just walk into the studio and be like, hey...
prep with no...
It's so much
no
easier. Everybody's there in
forewarning
person.
to come and
Bang.
sit in and chat with us. So, John, the second half of these shows
You don't need
are...
to
a little bit
crazy
different than the
mics
first.
or
The
anything,
second
you know?
half, we like to get to know the people, get to hear a bit about their story.
Everybody's
and
there
how they
together.
work. So right off the bat, I'm just going to ask you, how did you get involved in the industry?
I grew up playing video games, like I'm sure a lot of people did who work in the games industry. And that's what I wanted to do.
I wonder
at
what he
university,
played.
But my parents weren't really on board with that. Probably a bit like a lot of other people as well. So I actually went to, I really liked IT and art at school and product design. And I went to university and did web design and 2D animation, and we're talking like almost 2 decades ago now.
Yeah.
Came out of that, hated web design, really enjoyed, and at the time I was doing Adobe Flash animation, 2D animation. And I did a couple of gigs with that, but the crucial thing for me was getting into that third dimension. So I went back, I did a master's, and that basically fast-tracked me into the 3D world. And then I actually started in animated film, and I was doing 10-minute short films for for theme parks and attractions. So you know how for us, Cineworld do that 4DX thing where you're riding around in the chair. We were doing that before it was cool. So
That was never cool.
yeah,
rip.
exactly.
Never cool.
So I was doing that for a while, and then I moved over to video games. You know, that's where I wanted to go eventually. It just took me some time to get there. So I worked on a few
damn,
Lego
Max has
games
the big
for a
gun.
bit, and then I went to a VR studio, then to another game studio, and then I came here.
What was the other game studio? Are we allowed to say?
I went to Fabric Games, who are now part of Firesprite, who are now owned by Sony.
Gotcha. That is.
We don't talk about virus spray. I think one of them in the back goes, ooh.
They're laughing in the background. The video game industry is incredibly, for lack of a better word, incestuous. You end up meeting the same people back and forth, left and right. Oh yeah, you were here when I was here, and you were here. I remember in my very
Nice save,
first day,
Jared. Nice
literally my
save.
very first day here at CIG.
Where's Theaters of War?
Both Matt Sherman and
Sherman mentioned.
Darian Vorlik, two names from the past, the old time
Wow.
Star Citizens might remember. In the kitchen, I was in the kitchen getting something. They both like, "Hey, didn't you used to work at Blizzard?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember you." Hi. I'm like, "I don't remember you at all." But I felt so bad. But it's just you end up running into many of the same people, and then the companies get bought and moved over into companies.
Darren
and,
Vorlik is the
talk about
community
Bungie
manager for
bought and
Clash
then
of Clans.
separated
He was a
and bought and
producer
stuff.
at CIG.
So yeah, it's a lot of mix stuff like this. So you are a lead environment artist. What separates a lead environment artist from a senior environment artist from a regular environment artist?
So for the underground facilities, I'm the product owner. So it's up to me, or it's on my shoulders to deliver this location. So it's not just doing the art, it's managing the team, doing the planning.
That's why I thought he
checking
was a
everyone.
producer in the React. I didn't catch his title, and I thought he was the producer of it because it was all scheduling that he talked about, not the actual work as
unblocking
much.
people, working with other disciplines, making sure that everyone's got what they need in order to do their jobs is my job.
As a lead environment artist, do you do actual art?
Yes, I do, and I have been doing recently. So a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff that you saw in the CitizenCon and in the ISE is some work I've been doing. So
Okay,
we're
so
very
he's
much
doing the
early stages,
gray box, white box stuff.
white box. Just like I said in the video, just getting some content out so that we can play it within context as the player would play it, and check that everything's kind of working together. So I have been involved with that, and as the team grows, I'll be taking more of a
Does this not seem like a massive waste of... No offense, I'm sure you guys are having fun. It is Friday, though, so you guys are done with work. But, like, making you guys stay there at the bar is kind of weird.
The other artists will be doing the majority of the work. I'll be doing feedback and
I
just
can't pay
the
attention because of
general
these two in the
smooth running
background.
of getting this location out the door.
I find that this happens in a lot of disciplines and a lot of the verticals where it's when you're hired in as like the base thing, whether you're a designer or whether you're an artist or whatnot, you're doing the thing that you were originally intended to do. And then you move up to a senior and you take a bit more administrative role and you end up doing less of the art or less of the design. Am I right here, Elliot?
I mean,
you're not Mike.
Maybe for other people.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, and then you get to lead, and
Yeah,
I
not
imagine
for
you
Elliot.
get to lead, and then you're doing even less art or less design, and then you
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
director, and everybody knows directors don't actually do any work.
True.
Go to my camera. That was just for Tyler Wicken. I chose violence today.
Director
they're
of
always-
Community, I think is his title.
Hold on, let's see if I got a message. Hold on, do I got a message? Is he
Not
watching?
yet.
Tyler, are you watching? Okay, shh, he's not watching. He's not watching. So how much of that holds true for you? How much art do you still get to do versus how much administration and growing your team and stuff?
So in the last couple of weeks, I've probably been doing more admin and planning stuff, and that's what you saw in the IC.
Yeah, that's why I thought he was a producer.
But I'll be going back into doing art. So I've been kind of 80% planning, 20% art, and I'm switching back to 80% art, 20% planning.
Okay, cool. So we'll probably see some more
because the
stuff
plan
in the
is now
future.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. But that will fluctuate over time. Sometimes it'll be 50-50. Sometimes it'll split the other way as well.
And you said you're currently building your team. Your team is somewhat scattered. Some teams are all in one location, but your team tends to be scattered amongst the different studios. Talk to me about your team,
Yeah.
EU Sandbox 2.
Yep. So we've got Martin and Fröke who are in the Frankfurt studio.
Okay.
Martin did the racetracks for anyone who
sick,
remembers
sick.
those. And then we've got Luke in the UK who's just started. Which
Luke
is great.
Presley.
And then on the design front, we've got Manuel and John who were in DE, and we've got James in the UK. So it's not just art focused, it's being the product owner, you have to be aware of design and how that fits into it as well.
Now, during the segment yesterday, when we switched to
gotta
the
be weird.
spreadsheets and we saw the absolutely concrete and accurate numbers that don't change
Oh yeah,
ever.
here we
Yeah.
go.
And are always the very first
Oh,
thing
yeah.
that get entered.
Yeah.
I think it said there was like 2,674 days to complete the underground
Yeah.
facility.
Yeah.
So when should we be expecting this? 2032? I don't know how many years that 2,674 days is.
Also, see, it's funny because when we filmed that was my latest and greatest spreadsheet at the time. Since then, I've revisited my numbers and they've, fluctuated a little bit, let's say. But also, when we were filming it, the number of artists was reduced, so of course the number of days is going to be higher. Now we've kind of balanced the books a bit, but I'm not going to give you a concrete date because I don't know myself yet.
Fair enough. And that number anyway is not like contiguous days. Those are the
No.
number of I guess
It's
person days or
man-hours.
something.
Yeah, person days, and this isn't including any holiday or sickness because I encourage people to take holiday, and if you're ill, please stay at home. This is just kind of days in which it might take to deliver this location. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I have not been messaged by Tyler, but I've been messaged by Todd Pappy. Directors are fantastic individuals. They are some of my favorite individuals, and they are some of the most hardest working individuals, and we wouldn't have anything
They're working on it.
without them. I love directors and
Directors, they're just working on it.
especially Todd, who's messaging me right now. You okay? How's that, Todd? Is that good? All right. So with that, I think I've successfully set enough fires during the day. This is what happens. We used to, the show used to be all backer questions. And when the show was all backer questions, I was safe. I could just play mediator.
You know what's funny? So far, there's been no backer questions. I don't know if that's good or not. I'm hoping they do integrate that in still in future versions. Oh, he's going to mention it? Okay.
And whatnot, but when we changed
I didn't notice it
talk
until
show
he
format,
mentioned it.
I had to come up with anything.
I
It's
like
clear
this
that
format
I'm going to have
a
to
lot.
practice safe questioning.
I don't
a
think
little
I
bit, 'cause
missed
I'm
the
just-
questions. But now that he mentions it, I missed the questions.
Hopefully this won't be the last
you know?
podcast. Anyway, that's the show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this week's Star Citizen Live. Be sure you tune in next week to Inside Star Citizen. We have got a feature that I know many of you have been waiting for. We've got Chad McKinney and Dan Griffiths,
Oh, wow.
no relation, from our Austin studio, and they're going to be talking about the current progress on the cargo refactor. Just going to give you guys a moment to, and then Morgan from here in the UK studio is going to give us an update on Rastar, which is a tool that we first saw at CitizenCon
that's a
last
big
year,
episode.
that is currently being used to place a whole new host of outposts on the planets and moons of the Stanton system, and as well as the upcoming Pyro system. So check.
The one thing he leaves out there is that Rastar is eventually meant to be a tool for us to place our own bases and stuff.
Check that out. That'll be next week on Inside Star Citizen. And for Star Citizen Live, it all depends on who shows up. We'll see. We have a plan, and then it goes away. So yeah. So for Elliot and Max hanging out at the bar back there, for John, being an MVP and being a total champ and filling in at the last minute, I am Jared Huckabee. Be safe, have fun. Don't burn any bridges that you absolutely don't have to because you're on live video. And we'll see you all next week, everybody. Take care.
Is it supposed to do that? There's a lot of thanks for watchings on the screen. I don't think so. It's like really large. Something got messed up there. That was a good episode. He mentions it at the start. Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, what do they mention about the questions? I mean, my general feedback is I don't miss the questions because a lot of the questions are like the obvious ones. So for me personally, they're like, oh, okay, here we go. But sometimes it gives like really solid, good answers and more information about something that you thought you knew about. And then the other thing is, I don't know, it's just the flow of the show. I'm more engaged with it. It's just way better the way they did it now. Like if they had Elliot and Max on for any longer, they would have been dragging it out on purpose, right? Like they covered everything they wanted to cover. Go to the bar, play with the guns, and then everybody else comes in and talks about what they want to talk about. And it was way better. And the fact that you watch it on YouTube, you could skip the ads, you could skip the whole setup process for the next guest, and it's easy peasy. I like it. The questions, maybe like, yeah, the top 5 questions, and then bang, bang, you're done. And then you're not trying to extend the length of the show using the questions or whatever. So that was good. That was really good. Mission feature team is doing, like, even though you recognize like monthly reports, reading what's in 318, so on and so forth, it was hard to realize like just how much they did right after Siege of Orison came out, right? It's kind of a big deal. That's a lot of stuff that's happening, a lot of changes, but it's also been how many months with 317, so there's that. And then yeah, I mean the art thing, we'll see. We'll see the underground bunkers. I'm not holding my breath on how great those are going to be, but yeah. Thanks for watching with me, guys. This is going to obviously be on YouTube, so pop by my live stream, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, or Discord if you guys want to communicate back and forth. I've kind of taken a breather lately on Star Citizen stuff, but yeah, we have other chats and things like that too. So if you guys want to stop by and be more a part of the community, feel free to do so. Discord.tg/SaltEMike. And that'll do it. Like and subscribe.